we are told that we should be confident in business, right? Be confident, trust your intuition, trust your instincts. That is a very primal aspect of what business leaders are and future business leaders are taught to do. Being confident is important in making good business decisions. You don't want to run into analysis paralysis. And it's important in other areas of life. So for example, driving. So let's talk a little bit about driving. Not directly related to business decisions, but related to also to kind of decisions we make in our lives. And I want to ask you, do you consider yourself an above average driver? Are you personally an above average driver? So let's take a little poll about this and see how good are your driving skills. Would you say you're in the top half of all drivers or the bottom half of all drivers? You should see the poll right now and you should be able to click on it. So click, indicate whether you're in the bottom half of all drivers or in the top half of all drivers. See, we have about 80% of the people voting. Great. Let's get a couple more. Make sure to make your voice heard. I'll give you 5 more seconds. All right. So interestingly enough, we have 76% of the people here are in the top half of all drivers. And 24% of the people here are in the bottom half of all drivers. Math doesn't quite add up, does it? That's a pretty typical result that I get when asking these questions. It's actually based on a study that was done a while ago. I think it was in 1978 or something like that. Actually, in college students who were asked whether they're in the top half of all drivers, the bottom half of all drivers. And what the study found was that 93% of college students said that they're in the top half of all drivers, because people tend to be overconfident. And that is something that we really need to understand when we address bias within ourselves. We tend to be overconfident about our lives, ourselves, the way that we think. And again, some people I'm sure put you're in the bottom half, 24% of you put that you're in the bottom half of all drivers. But overall, all of us tend to be too confident in our decisions. So we have a lot of research showing that confidence bias, overconfidence bias, is a major problem in our lives and how we think and make decisions in business and other life areas. This is the term that you want to remember, overconfidence bias, and it of course refers to our tendency to be way too confident, all sorts of decisions. When people say they're 100% confident, that is when you said you're 100% confident, you bet the house, you bet your company on this decision. What we find, researchers find, is that they're actually only 80% right. No wonder Las Vegas makes so much money, right? You tend to be very confident that it's red, you put everything on it, turns out to be green, and vice versa. And we make risky decisions all the time because we feel too confident in them. And we feel too confident about ourselves, and we don't pause to think, okay, might I be biased here when I'm thinking about these people? Might there be this unconscious bias within me that's causing me to make bad decisions around the way I relate to people? And of course, unconscious bias refers to how we make mistakes when we evaluate others unconsciously, without being aware of it. Just in the same way that we are too confident about our driving or our business decisions or our academic decisions, all sorts of things. And by the way, this goes for professors too. There was a study done on Stanford professors, and they were asked, are you in the top half of all professors by skill in being a professor, or bottom half? More than 90% of professors said that they're in the top half of all professors, FYI. Especially dangerous for those with more experience and authority. So the more experience and authority you tend to get, the more confident you feel and the more overconfident you feel in your decisions. And you don't notice how the environment might change in such a way to make your experience less relevant. For example, obviously the pandemic is a situation where the environment seriously changed and people should be much less confident in the quality of their decision making, but they still tend to be way too confident for their own.